Data security has become a really key priority for businesses, for the top leadership within organizations, and really even at a board level. The protection of data has become really fundamental. And there's really two reasons why that's occurred and why, even from 5, 10 years ago, why this has become such a higher priority than it might have been, especially in a CISO's priorities and what they were looking at and where they were prioritizing budgets and how they were thinking about the protection across the enterprise. So, two kind of key reasons. One is we know that data, people are, of course, an organization's most important assets, but data is really the fundamental IP of an organization. And we know that data is just continuing to proliferate. The importance and the criticality of protecting data is kind of one key aspect of that. The second key aspect is the movement of data is now so much more prolific than it was even 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. So we've had these major technology transformations that have really shifted the way that organizations have to think about the protection of data. In the past, they were able to kind of consider behind my firewall, behind my security perimeter, in structured environments, databases, etc. I had ways, long-standing ways of protecting my data. And people have been doing that with tools like ours with Guardium for decades, right? But what's happened over the recent years is major technology transformations, cloud, bringing major innovation, but lots of workloads, data, applications moving to the cloud means data is moving into places where now organizations don't fully know where that data is anymore, how it's moving around, and how it may now cause either a risk in terms of breach or policy and compliance violations. Then you have this major technology trend that's really been hitting us over the last 12 to 18 months around generative AI. Again, data is on the move, data that has to train models as well as what's coming out, right? Creates a whole new threat surface that has to be looked at, cloud, AI, and now even looking forward into quantum and quantum computing. So this again is going to bring massive business innovation to the world, but it's creating a new data exposure because the encryption that we've trusted for decades to protect our data, even if it was stolen, is going to become something that we can't rely on in the future. And so all of these new areas of data exposure, all of these new areas where data is moving, all of these new threat surfaces that a CISO has to think about protecting, but become new exposure points that create reputational damage at the CEO and board level. This is why strategies of how we protect data in the future, how we form approaches to what we're doing in this space and then in this domain, you see a ton of innovation, you see a lot of movement, and you see this becoming a higher priority for businesses. And we saw that most recently in our last CISO advisory board, right? When we asked them what are their top 3 priorities coming out of that meeting and into where their planning and their budgets were going, data security was definitely in that top 3. And that wasn't the case 5 years ago.